Protests sparked by the October 7 Hamas attack on Israel and Israel's subsequent and deadly bombing campaign in Gaza have continued around the world. Pro-Palestinian protests were seen in France, Egypt, Lebanon, and the Netherlands. And here in the U.S., thousands peacefully gathered in New York to call for an immediate ceasefire. People also gathered in Italy and the U.K. in support of the more than 200 people believed to be held hostage in Gaza by Hamas. College campuses have become a microcosm of the national debate, to the extent people feel comfortable debating at all in the current climate, bringing together a volatile mix of viewpoints. There have been some truly appalling incidents, like a Cornell University professor calling the Hamas attacks exhilarating and energizing, for which he later apologized. And some students have been filmed tearing down images of the hostages in protest. But most of the protests have been peaceful, even if loud, and focused on calling for a ceasefire and an end to killing on both sides. That's also what progressive Black, brown, and Muslim members of Congress have publicly called for. Yet many of them are receiving a disturbing surge in violent threats, even as they also face denunciation from the Democratic White House. Congresswoman Ilhan Omar, whose family fled Somalia's civil war before emigrating to the United States while she was a young child, shared with NBC a number of voicemails calling for the rape of her children and for her death. Indeed, the debate over the Israel-Gaza, Hamas, and the Palestinians has in some instances become so toxic, people in U.S. cities as well as federal authorities have been on high alert for violence driven by anti-Semitic or Islamophobic sentiments. While politically, the situation has roiled the Democratic Party and the American left. Some liberal Jewish Americans tell the LA Times they feel abandoned by their fellow progressives, saying, quote, significant airtime has been given to the view that Israel is a colonizing force and therefore violence against it is justified, and that the trauma associated with the death of 1,400 Israelis has been ignored. While in Michigan, which has one of the largest Muslim and Arab populations in the U.S., many there have been outraged by President Biden's unwavering support for Israel and feel abandoned by an administration many view as not doing enough to help Palestinian Americans living in Gaza, and for, in the view of some, for supporting Israel's march toward all-out war. Joining me now is Democratic Michigan State Representative Alabas Farhad. Mr. Farhad, I'm Representative Farhad. Thank you for being here. You were quoted in a piece by our Alex Seitz-Wald as saying many people around you, and maybe you yourself, would not support President Biden in the future because of his take and his actions regarding this situation. Say more. Tell us why.
Yeah, right now, I mean, first of all, thank you for having me on live tonight. But right now in the community, there is a real pain that people are feeling. They're feeling left out in the conversation. They're feeling that when the Biden administration talks about justice in the region, it's a justice that doesn't include them, right? It's a justice that isn't marching towards a transformational peace in the region, one that champions a two-state solution. And so in my district, in my area specifically, folks have lost trust in this administration to look out for them. They've lost trust that they're going to be protected. They've lost trust that the seat at the table that was promised to many of us last time in the campaign is no longer, it's not really a seat more than it is window dressing.
And Rashida Tlaib, Representative Rashida Tlaib, who also represents Dearborn, as do you, said something very similar. And she and other members have expressed, anger that the administration seems to be condemning them for calling for a ceasefire. Do you think that the administration has at least attempted, Biden has tried to sort of shift his conversation more toward justice for the Palestinians? He did that in his recent speech. Do you think that's enough?
Yeah, so look, the president calling for the flowing of humanitarian aid, the president calling for the turning back on of electricity and of water is really important. And I'm not going to take that away from the conversation. But what's being missed out and what he's saying is we need to restore humanitarian aid and we need to talk about a long-term peace solution. We need to talk about the ceasing of building illegal settlements, the end to an occupation, the end to a air, land, and sea blockade for the people of Gaza. That's what's missing in this rhetoric. That's what's missing, in my opinion, for sustainable peace. Look, I mean, folks, I'm always going to condemn the death of innocents. My heart breaks when I watch the footage of moms going through the rubble to find their kids, just to bury them. I mean, it's something that disturbs me, right? It's deeply close to someone like me whose parents fled occupation. in South Lebanon. And so it's deeply close to me, right? And to see the president leave out those stories, to not seek out justice for those that have died by saying we need a transformational peace deal is really, I mean, it's hurtful.
You know, and not to make this about politics or about elections, but, you know, the reality is President Biden is running for re-election. Muslim Americans and Arab Americans, even more specifically, were traditionally Republicans. 42% voted for George W. Bush, 31% for Al Gore. By the time we get to 2004 and the invasion of Iraq, it was a complete shift toward John Kerry, toward Obama, and toward Biden. Has anyone from the administration reached out to you to say, this is our strategy, this is our thinking, and expressed any concern? Because the polling definitely shows that for younger progressives, for a lot of black and brown progressives, and perhaps for your community, there has been a shift maybe back the other way.
Look, I'm going to say this right now. The Biden 2024 presidential campaign has work to do here on the ground. They need to start having these conversations of rebuilding trust. They should be reaching out to the families who live in my area, who have been stuck in Gaza now since the outbreak of the war, who are American citizens, and they're trapped there on the border between Egypt and Gaza, right? They should be deeply involved and invested in bringing them home, right? We need to bring our American citizens back. That's number one. Number two, to your point, I mean, there have been some preliminary conversations, but conversations alone are meaningless without action. Right, I can give the best advice to the president. I can tell him what we want to see, but if we're not incorporated at least in the tapestry of diplomatic solutions that we're trying to create, we're going to come back to where we are now and wonder what was the point. What was the point?
Can I ask you about the sort of contrast with Donald Trump, who's called for a Muslim ban and said he would reinstitute it, called for, you know, young people who support Palestine not to be hired. He's rejected the idea of admitting Palestinian refugees. He's called for expanding settlements and said they should be fine and legal. You know, he's demonstrably not on the side of Palestinian people at all. Is the shift away from Biden, period? Because it doesn't seem logical that it will be toward Trump, right?
So I really appreciate this question, because I think to understand the nuance of the situation, folks need to understand that there's two areas. There's what the community is feeling, what people in the Arab Muslim community are feeling. And that what they're feeling is they feel left behind. And so if they feel left behind, they feel like they should leave their votes behind in the ballot box. Now, for me, as a state representative, as somebody, I will never find myself campaigning for someone like President Trump, who has outwardly said and stroked fear-mongering here domestically, saying Hamas fighters are coming in from the southern border, who has said he wants to deport folks who are pro-Palestinian, who's encouraged the same type of rhetoric that I will say has caused students to stay at home in my district, has caused the cancellation of classes and sporting events, right? A funeral was canceled. Imagine this, a funeral was canceled because of a threat. And so I will never support something like that. And I'll actively make it clear to my community that President Trump, whether it's DeSantis, who recently used Dearborn in his political campaigns to say that we had a pro-Hamas rally. I mean, that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous to say that we had a pro-terrorist rally when students left schools on an organized markout. I mean, that is fear-mongering at its worst. And so I condemn that. But for me, I think President Biden has to do a little bit more to earn my support.
Michigan State Representative Al Abbas Farhad, thank you very much. Please come back. I appreciated the opportunity to converse with you. And we'll be right back.